What is up, guys? Welcome back. This is more, of course, Bush's paranormal stories, and as probably the people that watched the first couple know, that these are stories that have happened either to me personally, mostly, or when I say mostly, I mean mostly have happened to me, but I do have stories that I will probably share later on that have happened to other family members of mine, and I believe my first one was about a seance that I went to when I was young with my mom. Of course, there's only two other videos, so they're easy to find. They're in playlist. And then the second one was, I believe, about my grandma's house. It's been a long time since I did a video. I did those two, I think, last year, mainly around the Halloween time. And I was sitting here, and I was like, you know what? It's about time to do another one of those, Bush. It's been a while. And so this one's a little bit more recent as far as things go in this very house, which I always have a hard time talking about these kind of things, knowing what goes on. And I'm just going to kind of give you well, not an overview, just basically what has happened since I moved here. It's not anything really out of the ordinary. When, you know, obviously I was younger and stuff, this stuff has been going on, and I don't know if it's followed or what, so you're gonna hear me move my armrest up, but something is hanging around still, type deals. And it's weird because as far as a severity goes, it hasn't been like I need to get this taken care of, but as far as it being, it's very strange. It's just very strange how it doesn't seem like it's trying to do anything, but it's also negative. So there's a lot of theories on negativities that, like me being with the stress that I've had, there's people out there that believe, I believe it too, that you can actually manifest something and make something happen, just because of the energy you're sending out. So it's not necessary, maybe a bad spirit, poltergeist, or something like that. It could be what you were projecting. It could be that I am drawing in. One person has told me that I have a sense about me where I can draw things to me, and based on my mood is what I might be drawing. Now, I don't know much about that, so don't know if it's real or not. But my previous place I lived before I bought this house was, of course, I lived with my parents. Stuff happened there. I'll get into that in another video. But I moved here, and I didn't really notice anything. Like, when I first came to look at the house about 7 years ago now, I think, yeah, about 7 years ago, didn't notice anything, didn't feel anything. Sometimes I can go into a place and I can be like, whoa, something's not right here. I guess you could say I'm a bit of a sensitive. There's a lot of people, actually, I think everybody has that ability. It's just you gotta tap into it. It's not very fun sometimes. But moved here, when I first, walked the house before I even put an offer down, stuff like that, it seemed fine. Nothing out of the ordinary. Moved in, a week went by, I didn't notice anything. At the time, I was dating my longtime girlfriend. She would always say that, she never really liked being in the house by herself alone. She wasn't here by herself much because she didn't really move in until she got a job type deal to where she could kind of, like, I guess you'd say, support as well. I had a roommate, had a couple roommates, and I kind of swapped on and off with roommates over the years, partly because I don't like living alone exactly, and hey, extra income, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't notice much. But my girlfriend, she would tell me, I should say ex, at the time, would tell me that she'd be sitting, like, I'd go off to work and she'd be out in the living room sitting, and she would feel something watching her. She would hear something. She would look out a corner eye and she would see, I guess you'd say, like, a dark figure peering around the corner, like from the hallway. just stuff that she would see here and there, and she would basically just leave. So, but I'd never started to experience that until stress started to kind of happen a little bit. Uh, I can't really put forth where I started to notice, that it had followed whatever it was that had been at the house that I lived at with my parents, and the house before that, and so on and so forth, or something found me, or I, brought something out from where this is, and I'm kind of peering over my shoulder now because you can't see anything because it's a green screen behind me, but yeah, so uh, I just noticed some weird things, simple things. Set something down somewhere, and I know I set it, like I know I set something right here, pointing down, like right here. I'd come in to get it later, an hour, 2 hours, even the next day type deal. This is just various places. I'd go back to get whatever I was, can't find it. My wallet has always, like, that's obviously one of the main things that you need a lot. Wallet, where did it go? I put it on my dresser, and it's not on my dresser. I found it buried in my clothes hamper with clean clothes, like in the middle. How did it get there? That kind of stuff. It was basically kind of getting that quote from what is it, Scary Movie 3 or something, where it has George Clooney. He's like real sick shit, but it wasn't anything sick. But it's just very annoying. The paper rustling, like looking through stuff, started again. This used to happen back at my parents' house, where I got a piece of paper right here beside the microphone. It might be a little loud, but you just kind of hear, like when I'm trying to sleep, you just hear something kind of going through papers that I had, and it wasn't on a desk. It was, I have an old dresser that used to belong to my dad that I still have, and then one of the middle drawers, it has the pull down, so it's like, I guess kind of like a sock drawer or something, so you don't have to pull it out. You can just pull down the thing and you can grab out. Well, I used to keep papers and stuff in there because I used to use the top as a shelf, and I had another dresser as well, so I didn't really need all the dresser space from it. So I'd get that, and I was just like, man, it's happening again. There was times where I'd hear voices, like I'd be watching TV, and you would hear in conversation or something whispering, like, just off in the distance a little bit, and it's kind of like one of those, you pause or turn down the volume, and it's like it does it just long enough to where it's not the TV, so it's like, and then it just goes away. Just after my good friend moved out, in this room that I actually am in now, it was clear. There was nothing in this room, and I was like, I knew I was going to make this room into something. At the time, YouTube wasn't really on my mind to doing it, but I was like, yeah, I'm going to use this room as something. So I'd keep some stuff in here. It wasn't packed like the room beside me that my friend lives in now. That was full of stuff. But I had pieces of wood that I bought for my front porch. If you know what lattice is, it's, you got the railing, then you have the beams, and then you have another, or not beams, but you have the posts, and then you have a beam on the bottom, and sometimes you'll have posts every like foot. Well, this had lattice, which is cross sections of wood that it's kind of decorative. I don't really like it. Well, part of it had fallen off, and it basically just kicked it out. And I was like, well, my mom and everything had talked about, hey, we should just go ahead and, we can do this to this and this and this. I'm like, well, I don't want the lattice again. I just want to have the vertical wooden bars. And I'm sorry, my green screen is not that great, as you know. So we bought the wood pieces, we had them measured out, and we cut them. And when we got done, actually, before we even started, we had the pieces of wood that were pretty heavy. I think it was 10 or so in a bundle, and they were pretty heavy. And I remember bringing them in here, and I think I had 3 stacks. I wanted to make sure I had enough. Set them down, and on top of one another, and left the room. There's a You've probably seen in my VR videos and stuff where I don't use my green screen. Behind me over here is my I don't think what's called the closet, and the door would either be open or shut. One day I came in. I know I closed the door. It's one of those sliders, you slide it back and forth. It's not going to slide open or close by itself. The house is not that misaligned. Um, I came in looking at something, and I noticed the wood pieces, the top piece, the top of the free had been pushed off to where it was sitting like this on the floor, and kind of, I'm like, there's no, the door hasn't been open to this room. I didn't come in here and do it. My ex at the time never came in here that I knew of. And it hadn't been that long either. I think it had been a matter of hours from the time I brought him in to when I came back in. Like I said, I didn't have a whole lot of stuff in here, but I had some stuff. And I wanted to check on something. And like I said, the door is closed. Well, I'm like looking at the wood, and I'm like, dang, why is this, that's weird. So I slid them back on top of one another and looked over, and sure enough, the door to the closet was open. I was like, I know that was closed. So I walked over, and of course I do what everybody does, test it to see how easy it goes. Not very easy. I mean, it opens easy, but you can't just, it's not something that's going to do it on its own. I closed it over. I can't remember if I got what I needed or I was just checking on something. Shut the door, cut out the light, shut the door, left it. Came back the next morning. The wood was then pushed off front ways. So they're laying this way. When I came in, it slid off like that. And then when I came in the next day, it had been like that. The top one had slid off, and the door was open again. So I was like, what the heck is this crap? So I slid the wood back on. I said, leave the wood alone, shut the door. I said, don't mess around with the door. Oh, no, I opened it all the way because it was halfway open. I said, fine, if you want this open, leave it open. Fast forward a few days, I finally come back in the room. The door is shut. I was like, okay, but the wood had been not touched. So I was like, okay, well, 1 for 2 is not bad. Now we're gonna go back a little bit because it doesn't matter what order I say these in the house. But yeah, my old roommate had gone to see his girlfriend. He would always, pretty much on the weekends, go see his girlfriend because she lives a couple hours away. So they'd spend the weekend together, and so I had the place to myself most of the time if my ex wasn't here. I came home one night and it was cold. I remember coming in, I was just like, oh man, it's cold outside. I think it was probably January, maybe in December. It doesn't really matter. And I just had this weird feeling, like everything was just weird. And I turned on the hall light. I put my stuff in the kitchen from work, had the kitchen light on, turned on the hallway light, was getting ready to walk down to my bedroom, and it felt like I walked into something. It's hard to describe, but it felt like I was going into a tunnel that had like a lot of like volume to it. Like I walked into thickness, and it was weird. It just did not feel, I can't describe, it's just a weird feeling. I was like, this is a weird feeling. So I get to where my room is at, and of course across from my room, which is the room next to here, because my room's on the other side of the hallway, the door was open to that room because my cats would go in and out of there. I looked down because I saw my cat peering out, and one of the two, and he was looking at me like, dude, there's something wrong. And I kind of looked at him, acknowledged it to him, kind of teleport. Oh my god, I can't even think of it. But, just kind of like, mm-hmm. And I opened the door, and I had this feeling of sheer, like, not terror or dread, but it was like a middle ground. And I heard, stay the out of here. And I think it was about 2 seconds between when I heard it and I reacted. But I turned and I looked at my cat again, and my cat had backed into the other room. So I knew that I heard it, but it wasn't sure. I didn't know if it was like my mind manifesting something. So I had my light switch is there. I flipped on the light switch, slammed the door open, and I just started screaming. You know, you have no right to tell me to stay out of my own room. This is my house now. You need to leave if you're not going to be nice. And just start having it out. And it was not more than a half a second after I stopped yelling at it that it was kind of like, there was no noise like that, but like that, the heavy, weird, foggy feeling, the muffledness that I felt like I was walking into kind of just went away. So it was kind of like maybe I interrupted whatever it was doing, and it was kind of just like, whoop. And then, of course, it realized, you know, hey, this is, I don't know. But whatever it was, it went away. Nothing happened for a little while after that, actually. That I know of. I don't know what happened, maybe to my ex or whatever. But, sorry, I got the burps now. When I haven't been talking for a while and then I start talking, it's like, let's bring on the burps. So, what I'll leave you with final, since we are almost 20 minutes in now, was I suffer from sleep paralysis. And if anybody knows what that is, it's horrible. You feel like things are really happening to you, but it's really just, you know, your mind, you're in a conscious state, but your mind is giving you, I don't know, dream stuff, basically. And it took me a long time to realize that these things, and I can go into a whole bunch of stories of what used to happen to me under sleep paralysis. You can also just look it up. It's all sorts of stuff, but it always felt like something was coming for me. Like, I could really fall asleep anywhere, and I could feel it, like, walking down the hallway to come and get me, type deal. I don't like talking about this because it triggers me so bad. I don't even like using that word, triggers, but it triggers the onslaught of what could happen. I haven't had one of those in a while. It usually happens when I'm laying on my back. It got to a point where it didn't matter what I was, side, back, didn't matter. I would get them. So, this particular night, I had my ex. She had been living with me for a little while. She was watching TV, just had a text message. So, I don't know if I was able to cut that off in editing. But she was awake, I guess. I had fallen asleep. Now, I could consciously know I was asleep, and I felt whatever it was beside me, and I was laying on my side. My back was to her, and I just heard this thing talking to me, telling me that there was nothing I could do about it. It was gonna get me no matter what I did, and I just couldn't do anything about it. And it was in a kid's voice, but it was demonic. Like, I'm trying to see if I can reproduce it before I even start doing it, but it was like, you can't do anything. It was like making that noise, but with more of a kid sound to it. And it was just laughing, and it was a horrible, disgusting, your typical demonic laugh. And I remember trying to stay calm. That's what I tried to, because I would grind my teeth really bad. And it actually messed up one of them to where I had it pulled because I couldn't afford to have it fixed. And so during this whole time it's doing this, I'm trying to remain calm, you know, telling myself we're just dreaming, this is just another episode, just, you know, chill out, you know, I'm just trying to chill out. And it kept nagging me, and I'm trying to move, I'm trying to do anything to get my ex to notice, to try to, like, wake me up, say something that will bring me out of the dream, even though I am conscious, but I just can't get out. And I'm struggling to get out. Finally, I come to, and I just, like, sit up, and I'm just, like, looking around, like, where is this fucking evil thing? Sorry, I swore. I look at my ex, and she's kind of wide-eyed, like, what the was that? And I was like, did you hear that? And she says, yes. I said, a little girl or something talking and laughing. And she said, yes. Scared the crap out of me, because I don't know if these things know when if they come to you in your dreams or your sleep, and sometimes you don't know they're there, and this was just a time that, and this was just a time that, I'm sorry, my throat is getting scratchy, not because of me talking, well, because of me talking, but just because it's getting scratchy. Sorry, I'm trying to get rid of it. Um, if it knows, if it knew that I was awake or conscious, and it decided to do that, but I have no explanation. If it was in my head, was I manifesting the sounds? I don't think I could, because I mean, granted, you can do stuff that you don't normally do when you're awake. But yeah, it was pretty freaky, and definitely something I don't want people to have to experience for themselves. But like I said, in the recent few months, things have actually been pretty well. I haven't had too many episodes, for whatever reason or another. I haven't really noticed anything around here. My roommate swears that every now and again he hears something jiggling on his doorknob, but his door's shut at night, trying to get in. But I mean, I don't know. I've seen. I'll leave on this one too. I thought that was gonna be the last one, but this is my computer has come on its own. I'd be laying in bed, and I hear it turn on. Sometimes the door is open, and I'll see the light because it's got green lights in it. And I'll be like, "What?" And I'm laying in my bed. I'm like, and that's fine. I know this computer comes on its own. I know it does. It does it all the time if I leave the power supply on. I always shut the power supply off. I know I shut that power supply off, and it still came on. And I remembered before, probably 10 seconds before it kicked on, I heard the power button click. I can't let you hear the click because if I clicked it, obviously it shut it off. So it turned on, it turns on stuff, I guess. But it doesn't totally bother me because whatever, I don't know if it's multiple or what. I just don't know if it's one thing or, two things or three things. It's, kind of I don't know. I just can't explain it, where it's coming from. But I've had things that I thought my roommate was staring at me in my doorway, because I used to keep my door open too so that my cats could go in and out when they wanted. I remember laying there one night and I saw a figure standing in the doorway, and I was like, I had just woken up and I don't remember hearing my roommate open his door to come out, and his door's usually loud because the frame is just a bit to where the door catches it, so it's kind of like a boom when you open it and a when you shut it. And I remember just, I had my TV on, so there was light, but it was like just dark figures standing there. And I was just like, I sat up and I was gonna go, hey, but as I sat up to, go, what's up, man? I wasn't there anymore. So, a few things happened, but I've been, knock on wood, pretty lucky. And yeah, so that's what's been going on in my place for a little bit, here and there. I do have other stories, older stories and stuff, so if you do like it, please hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to hang out, and you don't just have to watch these videos. I have gaming videos and some other stuff. And I know this is a longer video, but when I get talking about this stuff, I can get talking about. And I love to give detail. I try to keep it as less detailed with as much info as possible, but still we're going on 27 minutes now. So hopefully I can cut this down to a little bit shorter than that. But yeah, just some odd stuff goes on in my life, and brought on by stress or not, something likes to hang around, or some things like to hang around me. I guess maybe I'm just that cool of a person. Maybe it's because I talk to myself quite a bit, and they kind of feel like I'm talking to them, and I almost feel like I am talking to somebody. So is that scary? I don't know, but yeah, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions as well. So yeah, I appreciate everything, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.